All right. Good morning, everybody. We are back now. The chapter of Exodus has been closed. We are now going on to Ya'ikra. All right. So now this book is the Levitical order, the book of Lawi, right? I hate using Leviticus, right? So here we go. All right, Leviticus chapter 1, verse 1. And it was when Moses, right? Now I told you this is it overlaps. All right. So now we're going to get a present story and we're going to get an overlapping backstory to see how Moses had to put up the tabernacle by itself. Okay. So, and it was when Moses had completed to erect the tabernacle that Moses reasoned and judged in his heart. So now it said Moses, he made it and he didn't go in.
Wow.
He saw the cloud come down, the cloud went inside, and he said, all right, I'm not going in there. So now we're going to get the overlap of why Moses is reasoning not to go in the temple.
Oh.
So he reasoned and judged in his heart and said, to Mount Sinai, whose excellency is the excellence only of an hour, and its holiness, the holiness but of 3 days. I could not ascend from on Mount Sinai. I could not ascend the mountain until the time that the word was spoken to me. So he says, the Most High told me
Right.
to go down the mountain when his cloud came, and I couldn't go in or come up until I was called. And I obeyed at that time. I'm not going in. It's the same cloud. This cloud is sitting over here. I couldn't go up before and watch the clouds come down and just go in as I wanted. I had to wait till I was called, so I'm going to sit here. But the excellence of this tabernacle of ordinance is eternal excellency, and its holiness and everlasting holiness. Therefore, is it right that I should not enter? He's the king of Israel at this time, right? He's telling himself, because of this and it was conducted this way, I'm not going in. This is eternal holiness. This is eternal excellence. It will be with the children of Israel to the end of time, forever. I'm not going in. Therefore, it is right that I should not enter within it until the time that I am spoken with from before Yah, until I'm called. Absolute genius,
Yes.
honor and respect of the highest accord, no sense of entitlement. Now, here we go. You ready?
I'm ready.
Buckle your seatbelts. Then did the word of Yah call unto Moses, to Moshe, to Musa. And the word of Yah spake with him from the tabernacle of ordinance, saying, so he does all of this. He's standing out front. He's not going in. Moses says, Moses, come here. Come here. I'm talking to you. Come in here.
Wow.
You have reasoned correctly. Now come in here. I'm talking to you.
Right.
Saying, speak with the sons of Israel and say to them, if a man of you, right? If any man, this is blood covenant to the sons of Israel only. This blood covenant. You're not blood, it ain't you. I'm sorry. It's not you. A blood covenant of you, but not of the rebellious worshipers of idols. So, not you New Testament people. You see, right here, Leviticus chapter 2, it cuts off everybody outside of this text. It cuts off anybody with a New Testament. Because we already read in Exodus that they were given this testament,
Right.
right? And some of you will say, but what about the prophets? They came after. First of all, you're wrong. The Most High created the lineages of the prophets in those closed houses in the wilderness. But we get there when we get to Ben Midbar, what you call Numbers. You know why it's called Numbers, by the way?
Why?
Because the entirety of the book is how the Most High reduced the great multitude down to the numbers of people that he wanted.
Wow.
He purged down to who he wanted.
So those who declare themselves as Israel and they follow the New
No. Not
Testament.
even, first of all, it's not even declaring yourself. There's no declaration to be made. It's blood covenant.
Right.
So if you are of my people, right?
And you
My
believe
people,
in the New
blood,
Testament.
and you believe in the New Testament, the Most High is not talking to you, you can continue in your way.
Wow.
If you believe anything other than what I am reading to you right now, you can go your way. Anything other. I don't care if it's the Babylonian Talmud. I don't care if it's the Quran. I don't care if it's the New Testament of the Bible. Right? If you have the King James Version, anything other than what I am reading to you right now, this does not concern you. Continue in your way and die. Okay?
Yes.
It says, not the worshipers of idols. The Most High is not talking to you. So, of everybody else, meaning you're ignorant, you don't even know, but you want to come and build this nation, you don't have nothing. No idol, no belief, no nothing. Only thing you know is that we as black people have got to build. And you don't know. You were only told you came off of a slave ship. Most High will take you. He don't need nobody in some fancy get up. And he doesn't want nobody who wants to bow down to any idol, be it a stone wrapped in silver or idols of wood. He don't want it.
Or graven images.
Or any errant belief, meaning you have no reasoning. You just have a belief. You don't have a reasoning. There's no reason for it. Somebody told you, it sounds about right, and you believe. He says, of you, but not the rebellious worshipers of idols. So not the ones who can't follow a law, not the ones who can't accept justice, not the ones who cannot reason. He says, bring an oblation before Yah. And it must be from the clean cattle, from the oxen, and from the sheep, but not from the wild beast may you offer your oblations.
And the oblation is the stew.
The oblation is a stew, right? Curry goat is an oblation. Okay? Stew beef brown stew,
Oxtails. Yeah.
fata,
Yes.
oxtail, but oxtail can be made with more than just the oxtail,
Right.
right? So oxtail is basically like brown stew, right? It says you can bring your oblation. Now, I was telling you, you can come, we can get cattle, we can raise our own farms, we can grow our own food, we can buy our own land, we can form our own bank, and it is not of the outside nations, it's of our own, and we may offer an oblation. Okay? Now I still have to teach all these rites to the Levites,
Right.
but this is who can offer. Everybody else
Can't do it.
can't do it. We don't want you. I don't want you. Most High don't want you. He don't want you. Blood or not. No law like this, no details, no understanding. Not you. Continue in your way. No one will save you. If his oblation, we're going to start with the oblations now.
Right.
If his oblation be a burnt offering of oxen, he shall bring a male unblemished to the door of the tabernacle of ordinance and offer him to be accepted for himself before Yah. So now this is an exchange of your life.
Right. Because you bring it to the door. You don't go in and give
No,
it.
you don't go in.
You just
You
bring
may
it to
bring
the
it
door.
to the gate of the tabernacle. Right? They're not even going to take this thing alive inside. We don't want raging bulls tearing up all the gold and silver.
Right.
But you're going to bring it up here. There's a point. Right? There's an area in front because an oxen must be brought on a cart. Maybe you don't remember that from Exodus. So
Right.
people with ADHD who can't or who can't hold context, you gotta have to learn the whole context. This is an exercise for you.
Okay.
So we're going to use our long-term memory instead of the short-term,
Okay.
and we're going to say you bring the ox on the cart because we're going to kill it on the cart. We're not going to let this thing loose and free. It comes on a cart. It stays on the cart. We're going to kill it on the cart.
Okay.
All right? So you're going to bring an oxen blood to be accepted in exchange for yourself because with the penalty of sin, your life and blood is due. See, we have a blood covenant. You now have to have an exchange, right? Now, because you didn't know before this law that I'm teaching you, you didn't know before. Okay? And you're coming to learn it now because I'm teaching you now. Okay? Now you know, okay, yes, we can bring it and we have to raise it. So this is going to take time. You got to get the ox. You got to raise some because, you can't kill your last and only one. The Most High don't want your only one. So you have to become fruitful. And after you have many, then we can begin to offer one. And there is a law even on that process. We'll get there one step at a time. Okay?
And those that are vegans or whatever, you still got to do it this way. There's no substitute.
Listen, I'm not even talking. I'm not even talking to vegans.
You still got
Okay?
to use the animal.
I'm not even talking to vegans because veganism doesn't exist within the context of the law. And somebody will say, what about Daniel? Daniel was vegan because they didn't have no control over the meats, over the sacrifice. They couldn't give and eat from their own. So Daniel was a vegan.
So that's why it's important for us to have our own.
You got to have control over your animals because these people who rule over you, they are foul. Now, that's only in the West. However, if you are here,
Right.
I'm allowed to eat halal.
Yes.
Halal meaning lawful. What? Yes. You don't understand. I can buy meat here in Jordan, here in Amman, because the meat here is halal. Okay? Now somebody can say, oh, but they doing quiet. There's a law governing it. It says, when I'm amongst my brethren, this is acceptable, especially while I'm regrowing. So I have access. We'll get to this. We'll get to all of these rules as we get into Ben Midbar in the desert, the book of Numbers. So we'll get to that. We'll get there.
That's good to know.
But I have to set the precedence because in order to establish the priesthood, I have to first establish the community because we have to have the resources to support the priesthood. No community, no priesthood.
Good.
And the only one who can establish the community is the king. Wow. Wow. Doesn't that make sense?
Yes.
It doesn't mean that the king gets all the land and build all the community by himself. He does it with your support, but he have the right and the ability to do so. Right? I have now in my possession a land right. I can purchase land. I own an indigenous land right here. So now I can purchase land. Purchasing land, I can purchase not for myself, I can purchase for my community. Right? So since this is not my land, personal, right? Because I'm purchasing as a community leader, the land belonged to the members of the community. So the wealth that is put into the land belong to the support of the community and its members. However, to organize the support, I don't take upon myself some bright idea. I have an instruction. I have a law for this. So in order for us to support the Levites, we must grow food and we must have our own so that there's enough that a tenth can support the Levites. You see, if there is 12 tribes, Levi not counted, and everybody gives a tenth, then the Levite gets a whole portion from a small portion of the 12. So they receive a 12th as well.
Right.
Everybody's getting 1/12. Right? And this support him because he has to be the Most High's housewife. He's got to keep it clean. He's got to cook. He's got to take care of everything necessary for the Most High's house. Okay? He only getting the 12th, which means everybody else has to have a 12th in order to give them a 10th for him to get a 12th.
Wow.
So everybody ends up with 11.9. And 0.9 is equal to 1. 0.9 is equal to 1. So everybody gets 11.9. Everybody. Okay? So now the person who has to bring this oblation of a burnt offering, this offering of a burnt offering, he shall lay his right hand with firmness upon the head of the sacrifice, that it may be acceptable from him, to propitiate on his behalf, to be offered on his behalf. So you have to be there when the Levites is killing it with your hand on the head of the ox when they kill the ox to transfer the sin. Now, upon this shedding of blood, this blood covenant, you also are swearing never to commit this again, because it was only in ignorance that the sin was committed.
Whoa.
So if you know it's wrong and you do it again, there is no remission of the sin. You die.
Wow.
See? So if you worship in idols, you keep making the same mistake over and over again. We don't have that. This is a one shot. You was ignorant before. You didn't know the law. You didn't have the details. You didn't have the understanding. You didn't have a teacher. You didn't have a king. You have one now. I may not be all of what you thought he would look like, but you have one. You have one with the ability, right? The willingness, the drive to do everything necessary to reunite a people.
And the instruction.
And the instruction to do so. However, if you don't participate, you didn't want the promised salvation. You wanted to die among the nations. You want to.
So ain't no bringing your cattle and then you leave. No, you got to be right there.
You got to be there.
Put your hand on the head and watch that cattle be slaughtered.
You know what? Maybe you think I'm making it up. I'm gonna just read.
Yes.
To propitiate on the man's behalf who's bringing the cattle, and the slayer shall kill the ox at the place of slaughter before Yah. So again, I told you, it says bring it to the gate. It's not actually you bring it inside to the gate, to the door. There's a place for slaughter. There's an area. I said this, okay? And the sons of Aaron the priest shall bring the blood in vessels and sprinkle the blood which is in the bases round about the altar. That is at the door of the tabernacle of ordinance.
Wow, it's done so neatly. It's not blood all over the place. I mean,
Right.
It's very neat.
And notice it says the slayer.
The slayer.
Ain't this, see, that's another thing, right? This ain't all just Levites. And anybody can participate in this service. You may not do the things inside the temple, but there's things that have to be done outside, and we are supporting this. So the slayer, this can be any firstborn son who is aiding and assisting the Levites, because the firstborn sons have to come and learn the law and know these sacrifices and know how everything is to be doled out, because they have to govern their lands and make sure that the Levite is correct in his service.
So the slayer or whoever is rendered, so they have to be the firstborn?
Well, they're typically firstborns,
Okay.
but it can be a chosen son. Any leader, anybody who's going to come into leadership have to know what the service is, which is why the book of Ya'ikra is written and public. There's nothing hidden, because righteousness is righteousness. It's to be done. You need to know, because we have to help each other to keep away, no mistake, no sin. It must be what the prophet said.
Brother's keeper.
Okay? So they bring the vessels and they around about the altar that is at the door of the ordinance of the tabernacle of ordinance, and he shall take away the skin from the sacrifice and divide him according to his members, and the sons of Aaron, the priest, shall put fire upon the altar and lay wood in order upon the fire. We'll be right back.
Wow.
Okay, we're back. So now they laying wood upon the fire, and the priest, the sons of Aaron, shall lay the members in order, and the heart, and the covering of the fat upon the wood that is on the fire of the altar, and he shall wash the inwards and his legs with water, and the priest shall offer the whole upon the altar of burnt offerings and oblation to be accepted with grace before Yah.
So this is when grace come in.
This where grace come in. Right? So before you bring the offering, you have to have corrected the problem. Then you can bring your sacrifice and obtain the grace and the mercy of the Most High. And if his oblation be of the flock, whether of lambs or of young goats, he shall bring a male unblemished, and the slayer shall kill it at the foot of the altar on the north side before Yah. And the priest, now and notice the oxen is outside,
Yes.
and then they just bring in the meat and a little bit of blood to sprinkle, right? And they bury it, they cover it with dirt
Right.
in front of the altar. They dig a hole, put the blood in, cover it up. Okay? And you see this one, they can bring inside.
Right.
Because the sheeps, they docile. You can move them. Right? It's if you haven't done it, you don't know. But I've done it. So the sheeps are more docile. You can manage them.
Okay.
Okay? Aaron is a sprinkle of blood and also round about. And he shall divide it by its members and its body, its head and its body. And the priest shall set them in order on the wood which is upon the fire on the altar. And the inwards and his legs he shall wash with water, and the priest shall offer the whole and burn it at the altar of burnt sacrifice. It is an offering to be received with grace before Yah. Okay? So now this is giving you some basic generalities. It's going to get into more details. Okay, so this is just the basic. We're bringing it, we separate it according to its members, which you don't understand what separating according to the members means. Okay? But there is a process of the division, a traditional cuts that have to be made, a traditional separation. Right? So it says all of these parts that have to be placed on the fire will be placed on the fire. However, there are parts that do not get eaten. Right?
Okay.
We not eating chitlins. Even
Any
of the
kind.
clean cattle, you don't eat the chitlins of any kind. You don't eat the boo-boo part. Unacceptable. You don't eat the stomach. No tripe. Unacceptable. And if his oblation before Yah be of birds, he shall bring his oblation from the turtle doves or the young of pigeons. But of the turtle doves he shall bring the largest, and of the pigeons the young ones. Now, turtle doves and pigeons are of the same family,
Right.
right? So, you have white turtle doves and you have red ones. Okay? Pigeons, the other ones, the gray ones, right? It says, don't bring the old one. Bring the young one. Okay?
Okay.
So when the Most High says these are acceptable oblations, I want you to understand something. Every pigeon in the cities, right? They are testifying to the Most High that they showed up to be eaten by the sons of Israel, and the sons of Israel chose to eat abominations rather than eat pigeons.
So they're testifying
They
against us.
testifying against you.
Wow. Mm.
You think I'm lying? Try me. And the priest shall offer it upon the altar, and shall wring off its head, and burn it upon the altar, and press out its blood at the sides of the altar, and shall remove its gullet and the contents thereof, and throw it by the eastern side of the altar in the place where they burned the cinders. So there's a place where the cinders from the fire, the ashes of the fire, and there's like little hot coals in there. You put that in there, and that gets burnt over there.
And does that include the gizzards and the liver? All of that
All
goes in that
the
fire?
gullet, all the little things, it goes in the gullet. And he shall cut between its wings, but not sever the wings from it. And the priest shall burn it at the altar upon the wood, which is on the fire. It is a sacrifice, an oblation to be received with favor before Yah. Okay? So that's the bird. Now we went through the oxen, lambs, rams, and goats, and the birds. Which birds are acceptable for atonement, for sacrifice?
Right.
They are also acceptable for food.
Yes.
Now, there's others that are acceptable for food,
But not for sacrifice.
but they're not for sacrifice.
And this is for the everyday
Right.
offerings.
So all the food is an offering. Right? So if I take a bird that is acceptable for food and I eat it, I still thank God this is an offering of thanksgiving. This is for the nourishment of my body. But for this sacrifice to make atonement or to grant some guilt that I am feeling to be cleansed of, it can't be this.
Okay.
It can only be of these specific things.
Okay.
Okay? But when a man will offer the oblation of mincha, this is bread, the mincha, right? Before Yah, his oblation shall be of flour, and he shall pour upon it and put incense thereon. Okay? So this is bread. So you make bread, it's bread of flour, right? And listen, you see me go from the most expensive and the biggest, and now we all the way down to flour.
Right.
There's a reason for this. We'll get there, one step, one step. And bring it to the priest. So if you see incense is there and flour is there, and this is the lowest offering. This is the least expensive. All right? And bring it to the priest and the sons of Aaron, and he shall take from thence his hand full of meal of the best of the oil with all the frankincense, and the priest shall burn the goodly memorial at the altar, an oblation to be accepted with grace before Yah. Now, notice with the mincha, right? He says he took a handful. They didn't bring a handful.
Right.
They didn't bring a handful. It says the priest shall take a handful.
Right.
So you don't come with a handful.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You come with flour. This flour is cheap. You can grow it. You got a lot of it. But the priest can take just a handful and make an offering with it. Just a handful, a small amount. And the Most High will accept this small amount. You grew it, you grounded it, and you given it this small amount of flour, you can have it. He take a small amount and he make this with the incense. We don't have that. No, we don't have it. And we don't have it because you didn't build it. You, the people, you didn't build it. Okay? And you're going to say, well, what about you? You with us? You right. I'm with you. But I'm not with you in rebellion because I'm here and I took all the steps to get here, to be in position so that we can make and get what we need to get to be the people we're supposed to be. You have to give. You need this for yourself. You need this for your children. And you're afraid to do it because you want to look and say, maybe it's a scam. You're being scammed right now. You pay land tax. You pay rent. That is a scam. How do you pay into something and receive no benefit from it? That's the scam. Your government is not building anything for you. They are building it for them to benefit off of you.
Slavery.
Slavery. So you pay taxes and you have no control over your school's curriculum. They poison your kids. You pay land taxes, and when they get good and ready, they just take your house anyway. You have no rights. I got 613 laws we keep here, right? You have over 10,000 laws, and you don't want to keep 613 because you feel like this is too much to bear. All right, moving on.
Verse 3.
Okay, so we had chapter 2, verse 3. And what remaineth of the mincha shall be Aaron's and his sons, most holy among the oblations of Yah. What I told you. You bring them a sack of flour, they take a handful, they keep the rest. Why? They got to keep, at minimum, they're supposed to keep the table of incense and the table of showbread. If we have no sufficiency, they can keep this, which is the first thing we're going to reestablish and bring back. The practice of the table of incense and the table of showbread. So we're going to grow everything needed for the table of incense and the table of showbread. We're going to bring those back. So we're going to get olive trees. We're going to get our own cinnamon. We're going to grow our own frankincense trees, and we're going to begin this small process because it's just a small amount. You don't even need a lot. We're going to grow flour. All right? And thou wilt offer the oblation of a mincha of that which is baked in the oven. So this is mincha. Mincha, it tells you what it is. It shall be cakes of flour, right? Unleavened and mixed with oil. So cornbread is made with corn flour. It is a mincha. Okay? And wafers unleavened, which are anointed with oil. Now, if you've never had za'atar bread, the bread with the hyssop on it,
It's delicious.
right? So they bake the bread first, put a little olive oil up there, and put the hyssop on top. This is mincha. It's bread. It's baked. Okay? And if thy oblation of mincha be from the pan, it shall be of flour mingled with oil, unleavened shall it be. He shall break it in pieces and pour oil thereon. It is a mincha. So this is pancakes. And if thy mincha be of mincha from the gridiron, it shall be made of flour, broiled with oil. Okay, so if it's baked on a gridiron, on a griddle, okay. So you got pan bread, you got oven bread, you got Yeah, that's all the bread, right? You got bread on the grill, bread.
Okay, so you bring flour and then you also bring bread. Is that correct?
Okay, so they're going to make bread,
Oh, then make the bread there.
right?
Okay.
Right? There's also bread you bring.
Okay.
So we have bread, some is sweet, some is leavened, some is unleavened.
Okay.
Right? Right now, he's just explaining
Right.
all the unleavened parts and telling you this bread that's for this offering is going to be every kind of bread.
Okay.
Okay, whether you bake it in the oven, whether you bake it on the grill, whether you bake it in a pan, in a
Pan.
frying pan.
Okay.
Okay, this bread, thin
Okay.
bread, cake thick bread,
Right.
bread.
Okay.
Right? And the mincha which have been made with flour and the oil, thou shalt bring before Yah, and the man who bringeth it shall present it to the priest, and the priest shall take it to the altar, and the priest shall separate from the mincha. So he's going to take a piece of the bread. So he don't burn the whole loaf.
Right.
Just going to take a piece, and he's going to burn it at the altar, an oblation to be accepted with grace before Yah, and what remaineth of the mincha shall be for Aaron and his sons. It is most holy among the oblations of Yah. So now when it says Aaron and his sons, all right, I need to clarify something here.
Okay.
Okay? So it's not just Aaron and his sons. Okay? So a lot gets brought, right? All the priests collect the whole tenth. And from their tenth, a tenth goes to Aaron and his sons. Did you hear that, what I just said?
Yes. Yes.
So all the Levites collect. Of
Right.
what they collect, 1/10 of what, so the tenth of the tenth
10th.
goes to Aaron and his sons.
Okay.
And from that, they make an offering.
Okay.
So everybody brings their best. Of the best goes to Aaron and his sons. And from that, it is, he makes a small sacrifice unto the name of the Most High with grace to be accepted before Yah. Okay? But no mincha which thou offerest to Yah shalt thou make with leaven. Okay? Now I told you there's a leaven, but the leaven is not for offering. I told you there's leaven. I don't play word games with me. I'm telling you right now, there's an offering of leaven. Okay? But of the one that is offered to the Most High, the one that is offered to the Most High to be accepted with grace has no leaven in it. Okay? And thou shalt make but no mincha which thou shalt make offering to the Yah shalt thou make with leaven. For neither leaven nor honey mayest thou offer as an oblation before Yah. Okay? So leaven and honey is for us.
Right.
I eat it, the priest eat it, but it don't get offered in this sacrifice at all. Never. No leaven, no honey. Okay? So they always take a small amount, they make it. This is why the priests take the raw materials. So they know they're making it right
Right.
the first time so that they can offer it so it don't have no leaven in it.
Right.
All right? And when thou offerest an oblation of first fruits before Yah, the bread of the first fruit thou mayest bring leavened. Told you. I told you.
Yep.
The dates in the season of first fruits, and the fruit with its honey thou mayest bring, and the priest may eat them. What I said. I said there's an offering of this, but it's
Right.
this for us. This to eat.
Right.
This is the tasty. This the
Yes.
delicious.
Yes. Yes.
To us, this is the best.
Right.
So the Most High tells you, give me this like this. This is what I want. And just burn a little bit of it on my altar. I'll accept the smell, and that's it. That's it. The smell of it. That's it. He's not eating it. It's the obedience. It's the meticulous, time-taking obedience to execute it with perfection that is acceptable before him. That shows your true repentance. That shows your diligence. That the priest may eat, but they shall not burn them at the altar as an oblation to be received with favor. Don't do that. Priests don't even know this. They have no details, no understanding. Why? Because I have not taught them yet. You're up there praying to an idol, believing you say you're sorry, and that's it. No. Where is your acceptable service? Where is this? To the people, it's not here because you have not given to it. You have not sowed into it. You have not invested in it.
You don't have the instructions.
Well, now you got them. So that excuse is gone. The instructions are here.
Right.
You want to hold on to your belief? Guess what? I told you at the beginning, this ain't for you. You don't love the Most High. You have made yourself now his enemy. Period. Take this video and send it to all the camp leaders. Send it to all the camp teachers so they can tell me I'm wrong. You want to make a contest? Make the contest. 450 prophets of Baal. Make it. Make the contest. I curse you and everything you believe. Now, curse my God and my law. Tell me it is wrong. I dare you, any of you. Challenge. Huh? We like challenges. You know, we dancing and challenging. Challenge. Tell me this is wrong. The most detailed manuscript. Tell me it is an error and continue in your way, and then show me your salvation. I'll wait. And every oblation of thy mincha thou shalt salt with salt. Thou shalt not withhold the salt of the covenant of thy Allah from thy mincha, because the 24 gifts of the priest are appointed with a covenant of salt. Therefore, salt shalt thou offer with all thy oblations. So everything gets sprinkled with salt, and you don't even know which salt goes on it. I know the salt. There is a salt for this. There is a salt for this. There's a salt for this. There's a specific salt. And if thou wilt present a mincha of first fruits before Yah, ears of wheat, roasted by fire, roasted flour, and a meal of barley, thou shalt offer as the mincha of thy first fruits. And shalt put olive oil upon it, and lay frankincense thereon. It is a mincha. And the priest shall burn its memorial of praise from the meal and from the best of the oil with all the frankincense and oblation before Yah. That's Leviticus chapters 1 and 2. We'll be back tomorrow with chapter 3. Okay? One step, one step.